I am so happy you've joined me. I'm going to show you a quick edit on a newborn that we had in the studio a few days ago. So let's get started. First thing is we open up the image in ACR or Camera Raw, and I'm first going to play with my exposure, and I usually bump up my contrast just a little bit. I like them a little contrasty. I think his temperature and everything's good. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go down to the color mixer and play with his orange and drop that down just a little bit. He was a little bit orange, not too bad. So under saturation, we drop down the orange just a little bit. I'm going to go to luminance and I'm going to play around a little bit and see what I like here. So I just play around with red, oranges, and yellows, and sometimes magentas with the babies. If you feel like they're a little bit too red, too orange. Sometimes when they have jaundice, they will have that yellow or orange tint to their skin. Babies usually do have some redness. I don't like taking out too much, and a lot of times I don't take out the red at all. It just depends. So every image is going to be different. So let's see what we think here. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that into Photoshop. And hopefully it's not running slow still because it was a little bit slow earlier. So first thing we're going to do is yep, it's still slow. It's just not liking me today very much. So I'm going to zoom in once it allows me to. And that way I can get a good look at his skin. I know he did have some flaky areas and some baby acne. So we're going to fix that all up. So I just grabbed my spot healing brush tool and I'm just going to go over, you're basically like painting or kind of clicking on the little spots, and you can zoom in as much as you need to see them. I don't try to go like too crazy with it because you can literally spend all day like touching them up, and sometimes it just when you zoom back out it makes them look kind of plastic, and I really try to keep the babies looking natural. I really don't like that porcelain fake look on people at all. I just try to keep them looking natural. So when my computer catches up, so you can see, you just kind of go over the little flake. Yeah, it's really slow. I'm so sorry. But basically, so I do that first, and then any bigger spots, so like he's got some baby acne going on over here, I'm going to go under that band-aid again and go down to the patch tool to change my brush to the patch tool. And with this, you can replace a bigger area. So I like it for like areas like this. I'm going to circle what I want to replace, and then I'm going to drag it to an area that is similar. So when I click, so I drag it, and when you click off on it, it's going to replace that area with the area you wanted to, replace it with. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to do that over here. And you can see in the window there, when you drag it, it's going to show you what it will look like if you use that area to replace it with. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to my spot healing brush. And these little hats sometimes will have like little strings that kind of hang. They're that mohair, so it's that really fine like fur. Okay, so just cleaning him up a little bit more. So once I get that done, what I will do is run an action on the skin, which is a really cool action. If you have not seen this, you will love this. It's great for babies. I use it on pretty much anybody that I feel like needs to kind of have a little bit of blotchiness taken from their skin. So it's from Totally Rad, and it's their Pro Retouch 2. And under the skin, the Deblotch Medium. It was a game changer. The first time I ran it, I was like, wow, you don't really realize how blotchy their skin can look or be. And when you remove it and then see that against what it was, it's like, was one of those moments where, like, where has this been all my life? So that was pretty cool. All right, so I've got a brush and I'm going to change my opacity. So I usually go right around like 85 to 90% um, and see how I like that. So I usually take kind of a smaller brush for like the face. It gives me a little more control. I'm avoiding hair, like eyebrows. I don't get too close to the hairline. Kind of, I, I guess I do, but I don't. You're going to go just around any areas that do not have, like creases. So when I get close to the creases, I'll lift my brush up and then drop it back down. So I'm not going in one big, huge sweep, just to kind of give me more control of where it's going, and I'm not hitting any spots that I don't want to. Okay. And you can go over the eyelid, just avoiding eyelashes. And like when you look at him, he doesn't look like he's real splotchy or anything, but we'll turn it on and off so you can see what the action does. So that's off. So that was before, and that's after. So it's amazing. I love this. I don't think I could ever go back to not using the Deblotch. It's awesome. All right, so the next thing I do is I run a couple actions, and I recently started using Charlotte Gamache's actions, I think it's Color Book and Paintbox, I think they are. So I am just absolutely loving her actions. And with this one, I think we're gonna try Radiance. So I just play the and see. Okay, so good reminder for you when you don't flatten an action that you've already run. So I ran the Deblotch and I did not flatten it. It's not going to run her action. Some of them will, but a lot of them you'll, especially if you're batch editing, which I will show you in another video, it will completely stop your batch edit, and it's beyond frustrating if you walk away and you're like throwing laundry in or calling a client or whatever, and you thought it was running and it didn't. So make sure your image is flattened before you run actions. And then I'm just going to go back in, run Radiance. I think it's so slow. It doesn't always like when I record my screen. Plus, I have Lightroom open, so okay. So once I run the action, I just kind of take a look and see if I need to tweak it at all. You can go up to the opacity on the action up there and slide the slider and just see kind of where you like it. I'm tending to be right in the middle with hers. So right in the 50 range, it looks good. Yeah, I like that. So we're going to make sure we flatten. And then I'm going to run fog and see what that does. Yeah, my sunlight went totally away, so I apologize. I'm kind of sitting in the dark here all of a sudden. Okay, so I like that, but that's so much of it. So we'll drop it down just maybe a little lower. Yeah. Okay, so that looks good. All right, so this area up here is kind of drawing my eye to it. So what I'm going to do is grab my lasso tool and I'm going to replace that little area there. So if you circle the area you want to replace, it's kind of like the patch tool. Put your cursor in the middle of that area and right click and select fill and content aware. This should be checked and 100%. These settings never change on here for me. I always have them that way. And if you watch in the area up there, it will replace it with an area that it thinks that you want to replace it with, I guess, basically. Um, and that looks pretty good. So it did a pretty good job. Okay, so not a whole lot. I feel like he is a little red. So what we can do, let's paint on a red remover. So Greater Than Gatsby, I've had these for a long time. I'm going to paint away red. So this was a newborn action, and I'm not sure the year that it came out. I've been using it for a long time, it feels like, and I love it. So why replace a great thing? So you're going to drop down your opacity because you want to take too much red out. And I think I want a little bit bigger brush. Okay, so not worrying about his hands so much, but just around like his forehead and eye area for sure. I want to drop some of that down on his nose. So that looks better to me. And you can tell if you just click on and off your action, you can see what you did basically. And it again, it's going so slow. I don't know. I don't know if you can tell. Then the last thing I usually do for all of my images, whether it's newborn or family, I will run just a sharpening at a kind of a low opacity. 40 is usually fine, so we're at 38 right now. I'll just leave it on 38. And okay, so I'm just gonna paint over. I usually go around the edge of the bonnet. Any details that I want to kind of pop just a little bit more out, I'll just run over. So lips, under the nose, his eyes, a little bit of his hair there's peeking out. He's so cute. Okay, so that looks good. And we'll flatten that. And then I'm just going to fix the cropping here. I by 7. And I'm just going to pull that in a little bit. All right, so that centers him a little bit better where he's not totally crooked in the image. Let's see how that looks. All right, like that. Okay, so now I'll show you a real quick trick. This is like a real cute or a real like quick way to do like a background smooth or just to give more, where you're kind of bringing the baby in focus and the background is a little bit more blurred out. This is a really easy way to do it. I will select a color from the back in here, and usually I go like a medium tone, and I'm going to go down here and create a new layer by clicking the little box with the plus sign. That gives you a duplicate or a new layer. And then I'm going to grab a big brush. So, right, probably maybe too big. Sorry, my pen is so touchy. Sometimes I have to go back to the mouse. Okay, so that should be good. And I'm just going to paint on, again, at kind of a low opacity, just around here. And then we'll turn it off and on so you can see what that did. So that is before and after. And if you think it's too much, you can always come up here and drop it down a little bit so it's not so prominent. So I think that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to flatten that and save it. So thanks for joining me. I would love to have you guys leave comments if you have questions about anything, and hit the subscribe button if you like what you're seeing. We'll have lots more videos on editing, behind the scenes, in the studio, lots of lighting, posing, all kinds of fun stuff. So I can't wait to see you guys again.